Welcome to the Real Horror Show podcast, a horror movie review podcast where we review horror movies from Netflix, Hulu, Shudder, and everything in between. I'm your host, Sam Odie.
And I'm your co-host, Stormy Skies.
Welcome to our podcast. Today we're going to be reviewing Saw 10, which is a 2023 American horror film directed and edited by Kevin Grutert and written by Paul Goldfinger and Josh Stolberg. The film is the 10th installment in the Saw film franchise, serving as both a direct sequel to Saw 2004 and a prequel to Saw 2 2005. It stars Tobin Bell and Shawnee Smith, who reprised their roles from previous films, along with Sinov Makodi. There's an O with a slash through it.
Yeah, what is that? Like Sinov?
Sinov?
I don't know.
Stephen Brand, Renata Vaca, and Michael Beach. The film sees John Kramer traveling to Mexico in hopes that an experimental procedure may cure his terminal cancer. John later discovers the operation is a scam, prompting him to kidnap those responsible and subject them to his trademark death traps as retribution. And this is how we like to break it down. First, we begin with characters and acting, then segue into story and writing, and then finish off with production. Then we like to discuss the real horror this movie addresses. Sometimes they're serious, and sometimes we like to have a little bit of goofy fun. And that being said, we are a horror movie podcast, so here is a general trigger warning. We talk about death, blood, guts, and other unsavory topics that might not be suitable for everyone, although we try to do so sensitively. Listeners' discretion is advised. Movies are then rated on a scale of what the fuck did I just watch, which means there are no redeeming qualities to be found. Meh, it's okay. And then, yeah, that fucked me up, which is what all horror should strive to be. So let's get started.
Juliet, this is an interesting one because you saw this before all these other Saw movies.
I did. Well, I had seen 1 through 3, but the Mark Hoffman era, I didn't know anything about that. And just FYI, there's a looming thunderstorm. I think it's skirting past us, but it's just been casually threatening us all evening. Also, I didn't rewatch this movie because I feel like I remember pretty well what happens.
Okay, well, I watched it just in case you need me to fill any holes.
That's good. That's good. In my defense, we're doing this very quickly after our last review, so
yes.
But we've been talking
a week to chill.
Yeah, we've been talking about Saw 10 since we started this retrospective, and this one is probably the least retrospective-y of the retrospective because it is a new release. It came out in October of last year.
Yeah.
I think. Yes,
it did. It was very exciting October because of that.
That's just usually when Saw movies come out. So it's still fresh in my mind. Plus, we've been referring to it throughout this whole process.
Yeah.
Because Tobin Bell is not getting any younger. We can't keep flashing back to Jigsaw.
I know.
So this movie came about while I was doing my production notes. That's the most work I put into my notes.
All right, cool.
Week. So Spiral, they considered a box office failure. I don't think that's fair because we were coming out of the pandemic, or very slowly starting to reopen. So a lot of theaters were not open yet, and I've said this time and time again, the lowest grossing Saw movie came out when theaters were closed, and it made back its budget plus $20 million. I think it's very successful given the circumstances of its release.
Yes, I would agree. And also, I feel like that right there tainted it. So people just assume it's not good.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, guys. So it's very good. It's a very, very solid movie. It did a great job.
And I find, since I'm finally caught up on the Saw franchise, I went on the Saw subreddit today.
Yeah. Oh,
and a lot of people, I'm surprised a lot of people didn't like Spiral, but I guess I understand if they're just sucking John Kramer's dick.
Yeah. You know how Reddit can be.
Yeah.
if they love it, they really hate it too.
Yeah. There were quite a few people who
Yes.
said they liked it better than Jigsaw, and I completely
Oh,
agree.
yeah, I agree too. Oh my God, Jigsaw. I cannot stand that movie.
Yeah, that one was
Oh
accompanied by a very funny meme.
God.
You're an apprentice, you're an apprentice, and them saying
Yeah.
at this point it would be a bigger plot twist if there wasn't a Jigsaw apprentice.
Yeah, I know, right?
And
It
that's
would
why I
be.
liked Spiral, is it wasn't just a random apprentice we had never heard about from a set of games that happened before the first set of games we saw.
It was a
It,
copycat. It was
it
just a
was,
man.
yeah, it was a genuine copycat, and I think Jigsaw probably would have been better had it been just a man.
Yes, just a man, exactly.
And it could have very easily gone in that direction with Eleanor being on a subreddit for Jigsaw.
Yeah. That's literally how her character is. She's just like a subreddit, like
Yeah.
obsessed girl, you know, like a true crime
Yeah.
girl. Yeah.
So doing like a genuine copycat killer for Jigsaw makes more sense to me than a random apprentice we had never seen or had mention of before this.
But no,
You could
they
do that
couldn't do
shit
it.
once with Gordon Lawrence.
Yes. But Gordon yeah, but they couldn't hack it with Jigsaw, and they had to go all the way back to like
Mhm.
one random day in between his car accident and Jigsaw 1, and stupid.
Yeah.
It's just
So they did want to do this movie. They conceived it in 2018. Maybe not this particular like end product, but the idea of going back to the franchise's roots, which is John Kramer. But the Lionsgate people decided to go with Chris Rock's idea. And when that underperformed at the box office, which again, I disagree with it underperforming given the circumstances of the world.
yes, I think it performed well.
Yes. Like 40 million, that's good.
That's pretty damn good. Yeah.
When people were not ready to leave the house yet.
Right.
So when that quote unquote failed, they decided to move forward with this version, taking the franchise back to its roots. And going into characters and acting, that means Tobin Bell has returned to play Jigsaw. Probably not for the last time, since Saw 11 is confirmed and I think comes out this year. Maybe next year. I haven't seen the trailer yet.
It got confirmed like really soon after 10, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, I'll have to let me Google that. That should be like
historic
on the runway.
it says 2024, so set to and is expected to premiere on September 26th, 2025. I don't know why it says 2024, but that's interesting. Maybe they're taking their time with it, because that was the biggest issue I feel happening with the earlier movies, as they were coming out back to back to back to back to back.
Yeah, but this news thing says 2024 release date, but it's dated last year. So maybe they changed it.
Excuse me, maybe they pushed back.
Either way, it looks like September either way.
Okay.
Ooh, what if it is September of this year? That'd be wild. Not October though. Come on, they could just like push it a month. That'd be sick. Whatever, it's cool.
Yeah, I don't know what else will be coming out that October. Gotta keep an eye on it.
Yeah, cool.
So Tobin Bell is back in an official capacity, and I'm gonna say something maybe a little controversial.
All right.
This is really the first time John Kramer is the main character of a Saw movie.
I agree 100%.
Like, he's a primary character. He's the framing device of 1 through 3. He's a ghost that haunts the rest of the narrative. And this time we're actually with John Kramer the entire movie.
It's his point of view this time. And I think that's what, yeah.
And I'm glad that they finally gave Tobin Bell his chance to shine, because this is an incredible performance.
I agree. He was great, and he looked great, although he looks old and thin. He looks great.
No, I think honestly he's 20 years older than he was when we first met him, but I think he looks the best he's ever looked.
Listen, a side note, have you seen that picture of him jogging on the beach?
I have not.
Well, he looks great. He's like in great shape. So like, And it's recent photos, so he's like really taking care of himself. So I'm glad.
That's good. Well,
to
maybe
see
I'll
that.
eat my words and they can pull out another 10 fucking
Yeah.
sequels with him. Although I don't know if I want Tobin Bell working into his 90s.
I know. I don't want him to work himself like to death.
But no, this was honestly his best performance as John Kramer, and he looked great. You know, if you told me he was 80, I would probably doubt you.
Yeah.
But I think him looking older is fine, and I'm glad they didn't de-age him or anything, because he is like at the height of his sickness in this movie.
Yeah.
We are give or take like a week after the events of the first movie. So he's very sick. He has 3 to 6 months to live. And I think the fact that he is older and a little frailer works for that. De-aging him wouldn't feel right when he's supposed to be sick.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm so glad they didn't do that. Oh my gosh, I hate when I see that in movies these
No,
days.
de-aging is gross. And
Gosh, yeah, it is.
side tangent. Stranger Things showrunners have said they're gonna de-age the kids a bit, and I am just like,
what? There's gonna be more Stranger Things? You serious? I thought it was
there's
done.
one final season, and that's an appropriate reaction because why do we have 3 years between seasons these days? It's
Jesus Christ.
infuriating. Millie Bobby Brown is married now, and granted, she got married very young.
I know, but like,
but she is a married woman about to go back to playing like a 10-year-old, a 12-year-old.
Goo goo gaga baby.
Like, think about 10 years is how long this show has been on Netflix. Damn. And just think about everything we've accomplished in those 10 years for them to finish one show. There's no reason it should take this long.
No, there's not. It says that it's gonna come out summer 2025.
Yeah. It's just annoying.
Well, whoopee.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I also sent a picture of Tobin Bell jogging on the beach in our Discord. So we'll always have that there.
Excellent. Our quiet Discord that
Very
we dust
quiet.
off occasionally.
Yeah, except for that and one other thing.
We also have Shawnee Smith returning as Amanda.
Yes, girl.
So it was nice to have real development of their relationship because we didn't get that with the original trilogy. It was a twist at the very end of 2 that she was his apprentice and that she was designated to make sure the game completed in Saw 2, and then she died in Saw 3.
Yeah. And I'm glad we had this in betweener though, because I feel like when we meet her, like, you know, she goes from like, you know, his first apprentice, but then like she turns into like a badass, but like very unstable. So we get this like really genuine, heartfelt connection in this movie. Like I think we see that the most because they're together the most in this movie, which is nice to see.
Absolutely, because we got the implication in Saw 3 that they did have a close relationship, that she saw him as a father figure, but we never really got that, right? Like it was just kind of something that was happening. We didn't see the development of their relationship.
Yeah, we didn't. In this movie, we actually see them hug, which is really sweet.
Yeah, even in flashbacks that we have with Mark Hoffman and how he set up Amanda to die and fail her final test.
Yeah.
We didn't see any like special bonding between the 3 of them.
Yeah, she just pushes his wheelchair, you know.
Yeah, so it was nice to have her back. Her wig is not the greatest.
I know, that's the only thing I dislike about her in this is like made her look terrible. Like she's so beautiful.
Yeah,
like,
and
do something else with the hair.
And granted, I don't know what Shawnee Smith's real hair looks like, but she had long hair in the first movie, so did she need to have the pixie cut for this one?
She did actually, because since this is the prequel to 2, that's when this is like the in-betweener of like her either going into the hospital with short spiky hair or after or something like that, but like she has short hair. So
Mm,
that's like the only reason I looked into like why her wig was so bad. And that was the explanation, is because she has short hair too.
okay, I'm gonna choose to buy that, but
I know, but
they,
they could have just let have long hair.
yeah, like I mean, we do, maybe we do know the exact frame, like time frame, but I'm gonna say this happens a week after the first movie.
I agree. I call bullshit. She could have cut her hair like in the
Yeah,
hospital.
she could have cut her hair right before getting put in the trap.
The doctors could have cut it for her. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, geez, come on, guys.
So many, so
Anyway.
many, so many ways you could just. You're already loosey goosey with the timeline, so who gives a
I
shit
know,
when
I
she cut her
know.
hair?
Yeah, why give her the wig? Like, and nobody else has one, I don't think. I
No,
don't think they need it.
no, it was not a good wig.
Not a good
And
wig.
then the rest are all newcomers. We have the
Yeah,
scammer doctor lady who was a great villain to John Kramer.
she
We
was so
have
bad. Yeah.
we have Amanda's foil, I guess, in the
Yeah.
Gabriella,
Hmm.
who I'm not gonna lie, this movie made me emotional. I've talked before, probably in this retrospective, about how 10 made me emotional because
Yeah.
John Kramer is so frail in this. He is an 80-year-old man and he sees what could be a miracle cure for his incurable brain tumor. And of course, he would want to believe that happens. And then he meets this sweet girl, Gabriella, and
Yeah.
he goes to buy her a bottle of tequila that she gave him because it means good luck. And he wanted
Yeah.
to gift it back to her to thank her. And he was so sweet. And they were just awful people.
Yeah, I know.
And I
It's
just,
like actually his tragedy. This is his tragedy movie, you know.
he was ready. He was so happy he was going to give up jigsawing.
Dude, he was, because there was a moment where he was drawn in his like notebook after his fake surgery, and he was drawing the trap, and then he ripped it out and threw it away because he was like, I don't need to be jigsawing anymore.
Yeah. I have another chance, so I don't need to make
I don't
people
need
feel
to,
bad.
yeah, I'm good now,
he
so
was
other people should be
probably
fine.
he was probably going to call Jill and say, "Hey, I'm sorry I made your tragic miscarriage all about me."
Let's try again.
Yeah.
And she'd have been like, yes, John, I love you.
Yeah, and
And he's like, you're hot. Yeah.
I think it also hit me in like an emotional spot because we poke fun at boomers not knowing how to convert Microsoft Word documents to PDFs all the time. That's all good fun.
Mhm.
But the
Yeah,
reality is the elderly are at risk for scams like this,
they are.
especially someone who is in a desperate situation like John Kramer was. That's how you get people who fall for
Yes,
these like job posting scams is they're in a really desperate place and this too good to be true job pops up. Of course they want to buy into
absolutely.
it. And so I think that's a very realistic aspect to this is that John, who is a smart man, would be susceptible to a scam like this. And I mean, it was a pretty smart scam on her part
Yeah.
because um we saw evidence that it was a real procedure that some doctor in Sweden was coming up with. So like she just linked back to all of his articles and all of his videos and claimed to be his daughter. And who's John? This is 2004. John's not gonna
Yeah.
go to Wikipedia and see if any of that's true.
Right. And it was pretty like, it's pretty watertight. So,
Mhm.
like, dang, they really put a lot into that
They
scam.
had they had the guy go to cancer survivor group saying,
Yeah, to fucking recruit.
yeah, well, no, he didn't
Uh,
recruit at the cancer survivor thing. He gave his
oh,
sad story how he was going to die. And then he runs into
oh.
John is like, look, I'm cured. Here's my scar.
Here's my scar. He. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Good luck. Here's the contact info.
Yeah. So I think it fantastic performance by Tobin Bell. We've kind of segued into story, but fantastic
Yeah.
performance. Also, we get a snippet into what John Kramer would have been like as a father. One of the most
Yeah.
heartbreaking TikToks I've seen since we've landed on the Saw side of TikTok because of
Yeah.
this retrospective is how he
Yeah.
probably sees what Gideon could have been in the little boy he
Oh,
meets in Mexico.
yeah, you're so right. I didn't even think about
And that
that
is
because he
so
was gonna have a
heartbreaking.
son. I know. That's why he like protects them so hard and then gives them all that money at the end.
Yeah.
Aw. Yeah, that's a
Um,
very. And didn't you say that part made you sad whenever it was like the blood waterboarding and you got upset because John was like drowning? You got
yeah,
it because he was old and you were like, I was upset. I understand. Yeah, it's
because he's
sad.
old and he's
He's
willing to
frail,
sacrifice
like
himself
Jesus.
for,
I
he's
know,
willing
he's
to sacrifice himself
dying.
for this kid.
I
And
know.
I think this is probably, as much as I love Saw 10 and how I think it's a great performance on Tobin Bell's part, I do think it muddies like John Kramer's philosophy a lot.
Yeah.
It's like he's a nice guy, but also he put a
So
smoker in a saw
yes.
trap for smoking.
The hardest saw trap, in my opinion. That's straight up unwinnable. With a
And like the
million
smoker
numbers on the
wasn't even the
wall.
one being tested, it was the insurance guy. So
Right.
it's it's
Jeez,
like,
it's everyone's confused. Oh
yeah.
my gosh. Yeah, just
But
really
anyway,
yeah.
so the beginning of the story, he's in a terminal cancer patient support group.
Yeah.
He meets this guy, and then he goes home, is sad, fantasizes about putting someone in a saw trap for stealing from a patient.
Yeah.
And then a couple days later, he runs into the guy again at a coffee
Yeah.
shop, and the guy is like, I went to Sweden and got this surgery that removed my tumor, and I'm all
Mhm.
cured. And so John, home alone, sad, starts researching this, and it is a legitimate service. And I think continuity wise,
Yeah.
I think he does try to get the legitimate surgery, and that's
Yeah.
why he kills the insurance agent, because I think this is the
Yes.
same surgery that's referenced in Saw
It is Saw, I don't know which
6.
one.
Was that 6?
Saw, yeah, I think it's Saw 6.
Okay, and Saw 6. I'm pretty sure they're the same surgery. So he gets this fake one, and
Yes,
then
yes.
he wants to do the real one because he does still believe that it could work. And that's why he puts the insurance agent in the saw trap. But this is a scam. And he's
Yeah.
like, I need the surgery. He calls her and she's like, well, we have a new trial in 6 months. And he's all sad because he doesn't have 6 months. And she's like, all right, I can squeeze you in the clinicals we're
Next
doing
week.
down in Mexico.
Yeah. Next week. And he's like,
Yeah.
okay, I can come to that. Wee. And then he
And then,
goes next week.
before he does that, of course,
Of course.
he hears his neighbor's baby crying, and then the
Oh
baby dies.
yeah.
That's
Oh
happening
my
at some point
God.
too,
That's
probably
happening. And he's
before
like, let me
this.
take care of that business this week. I could
Yeah,
do that all in a day and in the evening.
yeah. Oh yeah, apparently also has Logan at this point, if we're counting Jigsaw for anything.
Right. Yeah. Logan's like building traps and crying and shit in the wood shop in the farm.
That's true. That's probably what he's doing. Also, okay, so I love Saw 10, but now that I've watched all of it in such like rapid succession, I it's all
Yeah.
fresh in my mind.
Yeah, that's good.
Why wouldn't he run this by Jill first? They still have some sort of relationship. They're not together anymore, but they have some sort of relationship.
Yeah,
Shouldn't
he's
he run
like
it by his
Jill.
doctor wife? Like, I guess
Yeah,
she's more
like
of a psychologist than an
right.
actual medical doctor, but
Yeah, some type of like she's like an addiction therapist
yeah.
lady, but
But
like he's like,
Logan's
right?
a nurse. Shouldn't he be like, I'm getting this
Yeah.
surgery in
Yeah, it's
Mexico?
like, should I spend $400,000 on this, Jill?
Yeah.
Because like insurance won't cover it, you know? And
Because he
she's
has
like,
to
oh,
have an
that's fine,
emergency
honey.
contact. Who's his emergency contact?
Right. Guess her. No, I bet it's like Hoffman or Amanda, but she's always with him. So like,
That's true. Which
which
Jigsaw
apprentice
apprentice
is
is
better?
is his emergency contact?
Yeah, who would it be? Amanda the woman or like Hoffman
I mean,
the
honestly, it's
muscle?
probably Logan, because what's Logan doing
Logan
other than crying in the shed?
crying in the barn and like whittling a trap and
Yeah.
then going to work with a true crime girl.
Yeah.
Nothing, not doing anything.
So so he doesn't run this by anyone in his life, goes down to Mexico, and it's a very legitimate setup. He
Yeah.
bonds with many people. He meets
Mhm.
their most recent patient who just had his like kidney removed or something, some hot British guy.
Oh, the throat guy. It was
Yeah,
his
oh, the throat guy.
thyroid. Yeah. Stephen.
And
Oh, you like him, Stephen Brand.
yeah, he was handsome.
Yeah, what else
And
is
then John Kramer goes into his surgery, and a very, very convincing scam. Very convincing because they
super
have
convincing. Super
because
convincing.
during brain surgery they do have to wake some brain surgeries, not all brain surgeries.
Yeah.
They do have to wake you up to make sure your nervous system is still responding to things like that they haven't screwed anything up. So they woke him up the way they're supposed to have him move his hand. And he sees the reflection of the video on the screen. And
Yeah.
guess what? That wasn't really his brain
Oh,
tumor.
it's a DVD.
It was a DVD on how to remove a brain tumor.
It was like medical student class DVD. Oh my god.
Yeah. But
Damn them.
that's not until later. He wakes up from his surgery and the doctor's like, it was a success. Drink this totally not placebo water.
Wow, yeah, drink 2 a day for like 7 days and
to
you're
help
good.
to help with the pain, and then you're good. And he's so happy, and he
Like,
flexes his muscles in the mirror and goes out to have a lovely day at the park and throws away
yeah.
his jigsaw.
There's always jigsaw paper. And then that's when he buys the special tequila for good luck for Gabriella. And then he fucking does a cool jigsaw thing where he backtracks and draws a map of where the location is.
Yeah, because
it's a secret.
Yeah, they didn't want him to know where the location was, but he was able to use his smart engineering brain
And he
to
engineered the map.
backtrack. But he couldn't engineer that this was a scam.
Only until he got there. That's when his mind engineered itself and it was like, oh shit, something's not right.
The house is empty, the surgery room is gone, and he realizes it was all a scam.
Because the DVD, that damn DVD, man. Because whenever I first saw it in the movie theater, I thought that like, because they kept saying the FDA was like after them, I thought like they got busted by the FDA, but then there was like the remnants of like fake stuff. Like, oh damn, they scammed him.
Yeah, no.
And then he gets really mad and becomes Jigsaw again.
Yeah, I will say like the discovery that it was all a scam is very well written, down to him finding the DVD. Like that's very well written, and this is definitely one of the better written Saw movies.
So too.
If not the best written Saw movie.
One of the best, yeah.
And he's pissed. He's about to go all Jigsaw on their ass, but he needs to 100%. Find them first.
So who you gotta call when you gotta find people to kill?
He calls the cab driver, but he wasn't really a cab driver. He was an actor, just like the rest of them. Either way, he puts him in a saw trap, and he's like, "You gotta tell me where they are."
Yeah, and that was Diego.
Yeah, Diego. He puts Diego in a trap where there's like a bomb super glued to his arm, but it's not super glued. It's like drilled in, and he has to like
it's in a claw, and it's in both arms, and he has to like get it out with like his hands are like duct taped, and at the top of the duct tape it's like snubs, and at the top it's like scalpels.
Yeah. but you know what? Diego isn't a bitch about it. He does it.
He survives. He's he wants to live.
Yeah, and he's like, all right, I'll tell you where to find the others. Yeah. So John Kramer calls up Amanda, and he's like, all right, you kidnap these people and I'll kidnap these people.
Yeah, and he also calls Hoffman too, because he keeps calling someone detective, and I'm like, detective.
Yeah. But we don't know that it's Hoffman yet.
That's right. We don't know. He's just calling somebody.
In fact, I don't even think he says detective. He says, I need you to find a person.
No, he says detective a bunch of times.
Does he? Okay.
He does. And that's why I was like, I'm a detective. Who, Hoffman? Yeah, like, yeah, at the point I forgot, but
I mean, it could have been Strom.
It could have been Strom. It could have been Logan.
Yeah, it could have been Logan, his other apprentice that we're never gonna hear from again.
Detective could be like a code name.
It could have been Jeff.
It could have been. It's like, Jeff, you pathetic sack of shit. Find this person for me. I'm in Mexico. Can you do that? Yeah. So the other guy he's trying to find is the other patient, because he's a nice guy. He wants to let the patient know, hey, this was a scam. Yeah, that the handsome man that you like.
Yeah, the handsome man. Pretty sure, because the whole twist kind of confused me, but I'm pretty sure I'm pretty positive
Yeah.
Because the doctor lady, we find out after the twist is revealed, well, the first twist is that
Yeah.
she called him as well.
Yes, she did call him. That's his girlfriend.
But
Yeah.
so yeah, he tracks him down. He calls Amanda to help him kidnap. And I gotta say, this retrospective has answered a lot of questions I had about where John Kramer got the money for this operation. And I guess he just had all of those properties. He probably auctioned a few of them off.
Yeah. I have a feeling that John is just like mega rich for
Oh,
whatever reason.
oh yeah, engineers. We don't know what I
Dude.
guess he was a construction engineer. I can't remember the technical term, but building
A
bridges and stuff.
civil engineer,
Civil engineer.
Hell
So,
yeah.
and they rake in bukus of money, and if he had extra properties lying around,
Yeah, and then he like does all these like entrepreneur things and opens properties and owns things
yeah.
and it has the stocks and bonds and trusts and all these things. So you
Mhm.
know that he's somebody.
And for all we
That
know,
money.
Jill Tuck is paying him alimony. I don't know.
Oh God. Probably.
Um, so Amanda shows up, and I'm guessing like
Sorry.
she's able to get down there pretty fast.
Yeah, she like jogs there, probably no.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she does
Uh,
get, we have to remember we're in Mexico, like outside of Mexico City.
yeah.
And I think John lives in like New York or some shit,
Yeah. So
right?
she's able to get there pretty fast and help
Yeah.
kidnap the people involved in the scam. Um,
Yours.
including Gabriella, who's a drug addict, much like her, and she really keeps begging
Yeah.
John, hey, I see a lot of her in me, and you should let her go. And he's like,
Yeah.
I'll let her go if she passes her test, just like I let you go when you passed your
Yeah.
test.
Yeah. Cause she's like, sometimes you get like wrapped up in stuff you don't need to. And he's like, yes, but everybody has free will, Amanda. So like, and we're
You've
like,
got to
okay,
remember
sorry, John, I
that.
can't argue with you.
You've got to remember that, Amanda.
Free will. And it's like, okay. And he's like, you did too, Amanda. So that's my Jigsaw voice. But anyway.
So
She's like, okay.
we start the tests, and the first one is, I want to say her name
Uh,
is Francesca.
it is Valentina.
Valentina. So close. It has the same
Very
vibe.
close. Very close.
It
Yeah.
has the same vibe. Like
It
if
does
I'm
have the same
naming a
vibe.
hot character, it would be Valentina or Francesca.
Francesca. Yeah, that's like that hot lady singer from Ghost Ship that dies.
Oh yeah.
Almost by
Um
the same token. Cut in half and shit.
yeah. And so she is the first test, and her test is to extract the bone marrow from her thigh,
So gross.
making this one of the
gross.
grossest saw traps. Like I can deal with the blood and guts. Apparently my cutoff is poop and bone marrow.
Bone marrow. Yeah, because for me, it's the inserting a metal item into your bone that's open.
That's
Oh,
such a big
that's
such a
really
big
gross.
needle, and
I
it has to be a really sharp
know.
pain.
Probably hurt. It hurt. You feel it.
Like
Oh
I
my
feel like
God.
that's
I
the
know.
kind of pain you feel in your teeth.
I know. But
And it
anyway,
has
they
to
only
be,
gave
it's
her 3
bone.
minutes to do this whole two-parter.
Yeah. I mean, she could have done it if she had stopped being a baby, because
That's true. That's true.
one thing about these tests is I do think they are fair-ish.
Yes. Yeah.
Because they are true John Kramer traps, and I do think they're fair. And had she not wasted time screaming and crying and saying, no, I'm not going to cut off my leg, and just done it, I think she would have
Right.
survived, because the bone marrow filled up pretty fast.
It did. She was just like a few seconds too short because she stopped and was like, no. And she's like, no, do it.
Yeah, because this is John Kramer right after Saw 1, and the trap in Saw 1 was incredibly fair.
Yeah.
They had an entire day.
They did.
Like time was not an issue. They had a full 12 hours to figure out what to
I
do.
know. They really had like a long time. So I think after this, he like edited himself and he's like, oh yeah, maybe give him a little more time.
Yeah. So she dies, her head gets chopped off.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Valentina.
A little bunny. Oh,
A bunny.
Benny just ran on. Oh, there's a bunny outside running
That's
around my
really
car.
sweet. I love that.
And so the next test is the guy surgeon, the one who allegedly operated on his brain.
Oh God.
and his was
Oh,
he had to
God.
cut off a chunk, like a piece of his skull, and extract some brain matter for it to dissolve in a little jar of acid. And then once that was done, he would have gotten a key to let himself out of his trap, but he failed and died. But he did manage to cut his brain open.
He
So
did cut the brain open and took some brain out.
yeah.
And then I was like, oh my God, what if that's the wrong part?
What if that's an important part of the
I
brain?
know, I
Because
thought
the brain is
that.
weird. The brain is weird, right? Like Phineas
Oh,
Gage, he
yes.
had an entire like metal rod shoot through his head, and the only thing that changed was his personality.
Personality because of the frontal lobe.
Yeah. So the brain is
It's like
weird.
phlebotomy.
You
Yeah.
can cut out chunks and be mostly fine.
Yeah, but oh,
But I don't
anyway,
think John cared if he turned out mostly fine, because John's not
no,
mostly fine.
he's not.
Uh-oh. You just muted.
Sorry, my cat Pepper was like trying to get the blinds, and I had to say her name loudly.
Oh,
She's done being a poopy head now.
for now.
Oh, well, anyway, rest in peace, Mateo. The weird thing about his trap is it's a little different because whenever he died, that like the metal like a face thing closed around his face, and it was like a some type of a traditional Mexican like warrior mask
Mm-hmm.
that they kept talking about whenever they were doing the Mexico tour for John Kramer, but I don't know the name of it. But that was the only like trap that had any type of like I don't know Mexican cultural flair,
Yeah.
if you will.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I don't know why he got the mask, but he did.
And then was Gabriella's test next?
Gabrielle's test was next, and she had the most out fucking rageous shit I've ever seen in a saw trap.
I mean, I like this movie a lot. I question the amount of time it took John to get these traps set up.
How did Amanda get that?
I know, like if Hoffman was the apprentice he called down, I would understand. If fucking Logan was the apprentice he called down, I would understand, because the reason he wanted Hoffman was Hoffman was big and strong, where Amanda,
yeah, huge
where
dude.
Amanda was smart and she understood the philosophy. That's what made her a good apprentice. Hoffman was dumb and strong.
Dumb and strong and slow, and Amanda was like quick and small and fast and smart.
Yeah, so
but like crazy.
This is the one fucking test that is a little out there for this movie. The other ones I feel like are traditional.
Yeah.
John Kramer, very simple, very to the point, very fair. This one
fucking crazy.
This one felt very personal because John bonded with her the most.
Yeah.
So she's lifted into the air, and an industrial size hair blower is blowing in her face, burning her skin, and the way out,
it's a radiation machine.
It's a radiation machine.
So
an industrial size microwave
yeah,
is blowing hot
in
air,
her face.
blowing hot air in her face, and she has to use a mallet to break her chain.
She has to break her left ankle and her right wrist, because she's like kind of like in a star shape with like one arm and one leg, like going like that.
And she does it.
Yeah, she does it. And
she does it. And she wins. And John's like, all right, we got to get her to the hospital. I'll be back to deal with you later. But the doctor woman has escaped. And
she got the phone.
Yeah, she got the phone. She's made a phone call.
And then the handsome man.
She called the handsome man, and then she walks over and she crushes Gabriella's skull.
She kills her. And then Amanda's like, you sick bitch. Yeah, she's really sad.
Hot meat like, kettle, Amanda.
Yes.
And the doctor woman's like, I can't believe it. Of all the people to scam, Jigsaw.
Yeah, and she knows he's How the fuck does she know he's Jigsaw?
I mean, it's pretty easy to put together he's Jigsaw when they're in Jigsaw traps, but my question is, I guess maybe it had made international news at this point.
Yeah, maybe had it, because
but again,
this was he been doing Jigsaw stuff?
We knew Amanda, the razor wire guy, the oiled up guy, and then
the smoker.
Lawrence and Adam. So we know of 5 victims so far. And nobody knows about the ones from Jigsaw, because remember, no one knows about the ones from Jigsaw, not even the writers when they were writing Jigsaw.
Exactly. They only know later, like 20 years later.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess it could have made international news at this point.
I guess.
And she just connected
Yeah.
the dots that, oh, these are jigsaw traps. And
Yeah. And she was like, hey.
because remember, we talked in the last episode
Yeah.
that in the Saw universe, the only thing people talk about is Jigsaw.
That's right. So in this universe, the only news she would ever see would probably just be about Jigsaw because that's the only news there is.
Yeah. So maybe it's made international news. Maybe she just heard about him while she was in New York and she just connected the dots. Oh, traps, testing our will to live. I guess it's me.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean, maybe Lawrence went to the police and said, "Oh, yeah, the traps are testing our will to live, and if we break," because Amanda said that. Amanda said that in her police interview. So
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah. Right.
I'll
Yeah.
allow it.
Maybe. Yeah, I'll allow it just briefly.
And then Handsome Man shows up and he is playing along for a minute.
He's like, I would die. Oh, wait, no, never mind. He doesn't say that. He's playing along. He's like, hey, they stole my money and I'm mad. I have a gun. And Amanda fucking pops him anyway.
Yeah, Amanda doesn't trust him.
No
and
way.
This is where my memory is a little foggy, where it's revealed that he's actually working with her.
Yeah, it is
But
eventually. Yeah.
Eventually it's revealed that he's working with her, and together they put John Kramer in a trap with the little boy.
Yeah. The little boy, because he's kicking the ball outside and she brings him in, and then Amanda has to chain her ankle to like just watch. Everybody else is dead at this point except for Handsome Man and Mean Lady.
Yeah. And so Amanda's chained up and John Kramer's put in the waterboarding trap with the boy, and he tells the boy, don't use the handle. I'm gonna die and you're gonna live. But the little boy doesn't listen, and they kind of take turns until
John holds that shit. He's like, no holla, which means don't pull. And then he just holds it there, and the kid's like, no. And then Amanda's like, no, they're dying. And she's like, this isn't right. And she's like, haha, I don't care. I hope the kid dies because it'll be your fault. And like, I have no moral compass. And they're like, the Handsome Man, hey, handsome guy, she's gonna kill you for all the money. And then they, at that point, while they're getting waterboarded, they go up into the room, and that's when they go try to find the money.
And then they get locked in the room.
They do, because it's a special secret trap just for them, and that's when Hello's Up starts to play, and you know that crazy shit's going down now.
And John gets out of the trap because, of course, he had a failsafe in case he ever fell into one of his traps.
Of course. And real quick, I don't know if you remember this or not, but like when I was rewatching it, I noticed that all the like chains that they were wearing, Amanda and John were like doing special things on the outside of like the collars and chains to unlock them without a key. Did you notice that?
I vaguely remember that.
So that's another failsafe for them. I feel like all of their traps, if they were ever to be caught in one, he's probably like, Amanda, they all have this special failsafe, and you have to do these like special things to unlock it yourself, but everybody else has to use a key. So I noticed that too. They were able to unlock their shit without a key. And I was like, cool.
Yeah.
God. Very cool.
And so they get locked in the room. Yes. John and Amanda release themselves from their traps, and the poison gas hasn't started coming in yet, but they realize, wait, this trap was always designed for 2 people. How did he know about the 2 people?
And then we get that super cool classic. Oh yes, we get the super cool classic Saw like a flashback. It's awesome.
And it just reveals that Dago outed every single one of them as scammers, including Parker and Henry. And John tricked the doctor woman into luring Parker, that's the handsome guy's name. I finally pulled up the Wikipedia summary.
Parker Sears.
And luring Parker into the facility, he tricked Celia into doing that. And then a deadly chemical starts filling the room. It's a gas, and there's only one ventilation hole, and they don't really, they don't really love each other, so they start fighting over who gets the hole. And
she fucking gets it.
Yep, Celia wins, and she can only watch as John, Amanda, and the little boy leave the facility and walk into the sunset together
with all her fucking money.
Yep, with all of her money.
But then, she isn't dead. Does she like have to stay there and starve? Does she get out? I don't know.
We don't know yet, but I'm
We
guessing
don't know.
Saw 11's gonna answer that. I
Oh
hope.
shit.
Maybe she's
Mhm.
the next apprentice that we never knew about.
And then after all that, there's the post-credit scene.
The first ever post-credit scene in the Saw
And
franchise.
I about freaking flipped my lid when I saw that in theaters.
I bet you did. I
I
know that
did.
had to have been a very special moment for Saw fans everywhere.
Yes.
Henry wakes up in the bathroom,
Oh
and
yeah.
I didn't notice this in theater, so I had to watch it back later when I found out. But
Mhm.
Zepp's body and Adam's body are visible in this scene.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't notice. I bet they are.
Yeah,
Oh
when
my
they zoom
God.
out to show like the full trap as it starts, it's like very quick, but you see the bodies still
So
lying there.
that's how we know this is taking place after Saw Woman.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I
And
think they
yeah.
confirmed that it was between Saw 1 and
Yeah,
2, but if you missed like the news
I
articles, that
did.
was your confirmation is
Yeah, that's the
Adam's dead
confirmation.
body and Zepp's
Yeah.
dead body in that
And
end credits
yeah.
scene. But Henry, the
Yeah.
guy who lured John into the scam in the first place, wakes up in that bathroom with
Mhm.
a new trap taped to his stomach, and
Yeah.
John's
But no
like,
scar.
Where's your scar?"
No scar, Henry's
And then
like,
he
I
says,
don't know.
"Thank you, detective." And Mark Hoffman steps into the
He
frame,
steps in the frame, and
and
everyone's like, "Oh my
he says, "Out of
God!"
all the men in the world to con, you pick John Kramer. That's epic bad luck."
Look, and I was like, "Oh shit!" He stands John Kramer forever because he knows he's a badass.
Yeah, and then the
And
trap the trap starts up, but we don't see how the trap works, which was a complaint.
yeah, it looks like it's like little like claw things, but
Yeah.
it doesn't do anything. He just screams and it ends.
Yeah, that
We don't
was
see it.
a
Yeah.
complaint as I was leaving the theater. A couple of dudes were
Hmm.
saying, "You can't just show us a trap and not show us what it's gonna
Ah.
do."
That's interesting complaint to hear from viewers. Yeah,
Yeah.
I could see that. Yeah, I agree. I mean, well, we get to the post credits and we don't have a lot of time to do the
Mhm.
whole damn thing, but I agree. We could have seen a little something.
But yeah, moving into production, since we talked about the Mark Hoffman cameo, that was a very tightly kept secret in the production. It was never officially announced that Costas was going to make a cameo in the film, and Gretert says it was the most fan servicey thing he's ever done.
I'm
And
so glad he did it.
I appreciate
I
that they did
appreciate it.
not say Costas was coming back. We knew Amanda was coming back from the trailers, but we didn't know
Yes.
that Hoffman was coming back. And
No,
I appreciate that. I hate when these like great cameos
I know.
get
Are like,
spoiled.
yeah, are spoiled, and you're like, okay, well, I'm just gonna watch for him, and whenever he comes on. But we didn't even know, and it's an even bigger twist because it's post credits,
Mhm.
so you had to have just sat in your seat
I
and
know,
waited. You know,
and Saw
but
doesn't do post-credit
they
scenes,
don't.
so
But
you
for
had
some
no reason to
reason,
know.
it was just such a thrilling experience to see Saw 10 in theaters again because it was like no more COVID. I love Saw. It's been a long time. It's Halloween. So I
Mhm.
just sat in that seat and everybody else did. So it's almost like we knew there was
Yeah.
going to be something more.
So
Yeah.
maybe Mark Hoffman's gonna return for Saw 11. Like I've been drilling in this
Dude.
entire retrospective. We don't
Hmm.
know what Saw 11's gonna be. We know we have a finite amount of time with John Kramer.
For real. And Hoffman
We don't know if
did not have
Hoffman's
an on
dead.
screen. Yeah, he didn't have an on screen death. The last place he was in the bathroom.
Mhm.
Gordon Lawrence / Lawrence Gordon put him in there
Mhm.
after fucking 6, I think,
Yeah,
or whatever,
in
7.
it was 7. 7 was
Yeah,
when
7. Yeah.
because 7 was supposed to be the end of the franchise, so we see
Yes.
Hoffman get locked in the bathroom, but we
Mhm.
don't know
Didn't
what
see him
happened to him.
die.
We don't have confirmation that
No,
he was killed.
no, we do not. No. And if you follow Costas Mandalore's Instagram, you will see everything. Everybody in the comments is always Saw fans, and everybody's speculating that his face was shaved briefly, and they think that it was him filming for Saw 11 and being
I mean, it could be.
Mark Hoffman.
It could
And it
be.
could be like, come on, we could do this. We could do
Yeah.
this. So
I
we'll see
mean,
what
because it
happens.
would make sense if they're gonna continue Saw 11 where Saw 10 left off
Yeah.
in the week before Saw 2. I don't I don't know.
know.
We have such like a limited amount of time with John Kramer actually alive in the franchise.
I know.
Um,
Yes.
so I
Also,
hope they go
we
this way.
have to, yeah.
I was just saying, I hope they go that way because
Yeah.
I feel like these last two movies, Spiral and Saw 10,
Yeah.
are very strong and they're very different, like in how they approached the future of the franchise. One went all the way back to after Saw 1 to
Yeah.
do a pre-sequel to
Yeah.
do a pre-sequel,
Pre-sequel.
and we have one that looked to the future of the franchise without Tobin Bell, without John Kramer being an active part in the movie, just a ghost haunting it. So I think really you could go either way at this point. I know Spiral being on the subreddit today has very mixed opinions from the fans. I
Yeah.
liked it because we have a very limited amount of time with John Kramer.
Exactly. But also, and I wanted to say, and I know this is something that you and I don't like, but don't underestimate Saw, because we had like 3 movies all happening at the same damn time, like the same day.
That's true.
So
That's true.
if there's a way, they will find a way. Life finds a way.
Yeah.
Although we don't want it to, it shouldn't. We don't need to be doing this. But the Jeff trilogy.
We could get
Yeah.
Jeff. Oh my God,
Jeff?
that's right. Like 3, 4, and 5 really were like the Jeff trilogy.
Right. Yes, they were.
Yeah, no, but I think with Spiral and now Saw 10, we had Boseman return for Spiral, and that was a great film.
So
And then Return, as we remember, was kind of forced to come back to direct Saw 7, the final chapter 3D.
Yeah.
When he was set to film the sequel to Paranormal Activity, but he came back for this.
Yeah.
And I think having watched all of these in succession very rapidly, you can see how Boseman and Gretert matured as directors from their last movies in the franchise.
Yeah, you sure can.
So I don't think you could go wrong with either one of them coming back to do Saw 11. I'm sure we know who the director is. I haven't looked. I have the Wikipedia. Let's see if it's announced on the Wikipedia. No Wikipedia page for Saw 11 yet, but let's see who is slated to come.
It's Kevin Grutert
again. Okay, Grutert. And
Grutert is returning.
I think seeing how they've matured since their respective films.
Yeah.
Because I don't think Grutert did Jigsaw. I think that was a completely different director.
Yes, no, it definitely was. Like, who the heck did Jigsaw? He needs to like stop it. Why did that? Jigsaw.
It was.
Who the heck was it?
It had 2 directors. It had Michael Spierig and Peter Spierig.
So brothers?
I guess so. That happens a lot.
Yeah, but they didn't have to do all that.
But I think
too much.
I think at this point, seeing how Boseman and Gretert have matured as directors from Gretert last did Saw 7, where everybody was phoning it in. He did not want to be there. He was forced back. Everybody was done with the franchise at this point, and then he came back and directed a pretty visually stunning and one of the best in the franchise, in my opinion.
I would agree so much. Oh my gosh, incredible.
So I look forward to seeing what he does with Saw 11. I think it's in good hands.
I mean, I think we're wide open for Saw 11. Literally anything could happen. I don't know how many days of Jigsaw's calendar we haven't checked off yet.
Yes. We really are at this point going day by day in John Kramer's like last 6 months of life.
Yeah, I think we just might be.
And we see that he can accomplish a lot in 48 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. He could do like a bunch different things because he has like two clones. Honestly, it was like Amanda and Hawk, and we're like doing whatever. So he was able to do like 3 things at once.
And hell, we could even bring back Logan.
We could bring back Logan. You never know.
Like Jigsaw, they were clearly trying to do something different, and you knew that just by the end line alone. I speak for the dead that they were going to go in a completely different direction. I won't totally dismiss Logan as an apprentice if they choose to bring him back, but I think if he doesn't come back for Saw 11, that'll be pretty telling on how Jigsaw works canonically in the
Mhm.
rest of the franchise. I think out of
Yes.
all of these, you could probably remove Jigsaw from the canon and no one will notice
Agreed.
anything.
Nobody will notice. It won't change anything. It won't matter. It's
Mhm.
not gonna, yes.
And you could remove Spiral from the canon. But
Yeah.
like that was what Bozeman
That's the
was
point though.
saying is
Yeah,
Bozeman said I wanted a standalone side story. So
absolutely.
that works.
Yeah.
He made a movie that doesn't affect the canon in any way.
Yeah, so that's the whole point is you can
Yeah.
remove it or have it there. Luckily,
Yeah.
right now it's kind of in there because Saw 10, this would be Saw 9 if we didn't like consider it as
Yeah.
part of like all the movies,
But it
which is
sounds
cool.
like Lionsgate considers Spiral the eighth
Mhm.
installment.
It
No,
does.
ninth ninth
Ninth
installment.
installment, yeah.
But Jigsaw tried
Yeah.
to play with the
Ugh,
canon a bit and really you can
it
take or
really,
leave it. So I wouldn't be
yeah.
shocked if they never touch anything that was established in Jigsaw again.
Yeah, for sure. Like, and no characters, no traps, no nothing. Nothing
Hmm.
like that.
Um, I think
Is that
that's all my
everything?
production notes.
Production, okay.
They also didn't use the green hue again in this movie, and I think it's
Look
better.
fine.
I think
Yeah,
it
I
looks
think it's
great.
better. Yeah, it looks good. It looks like we're like, making modern movies
Yeah,
and everything looks good and
we've
clear
moved
and
on from the blue
clean.
tint. And
Yes.
blue tint made famous by Catherine Hardwicke in Twilight. Although
Yeah.
that is her most famous movie. I rewatched 13, which is her other big like
Whoa,
movie
I
she
saw that
directed.
before. I saw that before. That movie's wild.
That's a big blue tint movie, but it's thematic. It makes sense for the movie.
It does. It's about just doing drugs and stuff.
Mhm. But
Um,
we've moved on from the blue tint.
you
We've realized
have.
blue tint doesn't necessarily green tint, blue tint doesn't equal scary.
I think scary
Um,
because he was cold and sick.
yeah,
You could
but
be scary without any tints at all,
yeah,
actually.
but these last two movies have looked great. I think they're the strongest in the franchise, whether or not you like Spiral, it is better than Jigsaw. Sorry, not sorry.
Sorry, it just truly is, and that's not our opinion, that's just a fact. Okay, like for
It is a
real.
fact.
It is a
I'm
fact.
gonna
Okay,
update the
people.
Wikipedia page for
And just put like a little clause and be like,
better than
Saw,
Jigsaw.
Saw 10 is better than Jigsaw. Okay.
Everything's better than Jigsaw.
But no, I agree that this movie did use practical effects, which
Hmm.
was still great. The gore was still great. And you and I cringed at all the traps, which is the point, and
Yeah,
that's great. And they
yeah.
were very like creative. Like the blood drowning thing or whatever, that
Hmm.
was really creative. Everything else is
Yeah.
creative because it was a metaphor for their scam because they were pretending to be doctors, so they all do
Hmm.
like procedures. I don't think
Yeah.
the waterboarding thing was a procedure, but it used like blood, so I guess
Hmm.
maybe a little bit. But
Yeah.
yeah, cool.
Everything felt like a genuine John Kramer trap.
John
I'm
Kramer.
glad that we finally got a movie where we got to know John better.
Yeah,
I
I
feel
know his
like
personality.
while John Kramer wasn't
Yeah,
like a character, it was Jigsaw that we
it was
saw in the first
Jigsaw.
three movies.
Yes, and that was
I
cool too, but that was Jigsaw. And so it was only about Jigsaw and his philosophy, but now we're seeing
Now
John Kramer the man.
we've
Yeah.
met John Kramer. We
The
caught
canceled
glimpses of
patient.
John
Yeah.
Kramer through
Right.
flashbacks, like when he was dying, his last
Yeah.
like thoughts of Jill. We saw
Jill.
who he was before, but we
Mhm.
never got that. And this was
We finally did.
we finally got it, and
Yeah.
Tobin Bell really shined in this
He did.
movie.
Yeah.
And it's nice that after 10 movies, we finally get to know the man that is John
I
Kramer,
know.
who is also
Yes.
Jigsaw.
And we get to really like say like this is why we love this character, and not just because he's so iconic, but like because like he is like he's a good person. He's
Hmm.
doing what he thinks is right. He's trying to help people in the way that he thinks is the most worthwhile.
Yeah.
But unfortunately it became like too extreme in the end. But he was a great dude here, and he cares
Yeah.
about the right things and innocent people, and he knows right from wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if this is the team that's doing Saw 11, I'm open to it. If
Yeah.
it was the Jigsaw team, I would not be, but I think
Yeah,
with
this is
Spiral
going
and
well. Yeah.
now Saw 10, Return and Boseman are the directors of the Saw franchise. James Wan is probably never going to come back to the franchise at this point.
No,
He's
that's
doing too
okay.
much now.
He is.
Winnell is probably never going to come back. They're always going to be producers, but beyond that, their roles are done. And I think
Yes.
Boseman and Gretert have matured as directors since 7 and 4.
Yeah,
And
and I hope they're ready to blow our socks off for
yeah,
11.
I hope
I hope. Yeah.
whoever it ends up with next, they're going to do
Yeah.
a great job as long as it's these two guys. Or hell, if
Yes.
Juan decides to come back, if
That'd be sweet too.
that would be cool because the Conjuring movies are great, but
Yeah.
I don't
I
think
don't
we're
think
ever going to see
the
Juan again.
yeah, yeah, we're like the brother crew, so we don't need those two
Yeah,
guys
let's leave
again.
them. But
It's like,
Gretert
yeah, take a
and
chill.
Boseman, let's call
Yes.
them when we need a Saw movie.
Heck yeah, we know that they are legit.
Yeah.
So faded well.
So realistic
Yeah.
aspects, we touched on getting
Oh,
scammed.
scammed. Yeah, especially for old people, sick people, things like that.
Hmm.
And taking these vast sums of money,
Yeah.
and doing like fake stuff and they die anyway. And it's crazy because that really exists. It sucks.
Yeah. That happens every day.
Um,
Check on your grandparents. Make sure they're
I
not talking to
know.
strangers.
Don't let them have email addresses after a certain age. Like for real, they don't need that.
Honestly.
Like, come
Yeah.
on, just you take care of business or call.
Yeah.
Let's see. Other stuff. Having cancer.
Having
Um,
cancer.
being
Um
lonely.
being lonely. I definitely got lonely vibes from John Kramer.
Having this father figure, but he's like dying, so you met him like too late. So that's really
Hmm.
sad.
Being a sweet, innocent kid just accidentally stumbling on
Just
a jigsaw trap.
accidentally stumbling on the biggest jigsaw trap in this country. Because
Hmm.
I don't think he goes back to Mexico to do any traps. Just because he wanted to play soccer ball.
Yeah.
Fuck. Scamming a serial killer.
Yeah.
I mean, not really, but like scamming the wrong people and like getting
Yeah.
caught.
And
There's
honestly,
nothing
scamming
else.
Jigsaw after he's met Mark Hoffman.
Oh my God. Yes. Mark Hoffman.
Oh,
There's nothing else
having
yeah.
your boss call you in the middle of the night to fly down to Mexico, like,
Oh
come
my
on.
God, yeah, having Jigsaw call me like, detective, we need to find these people in Mexico City. Can you
Get
help
on
me
it.
now? I don't have 3 months or
Yeah.
6, whatever.
Um,
I'm dying. But yeah, so that
yeah, I think.
and I think I can't think of anything else because like it's all happening in the same evening mostly. So there's not a
Yeah.
whole lot else.
I think that's it. I think yeah, this fucked me up and we are
Yes.
officially done with our Saw
Yes. Oh
retrospective.
my God, how about that? We finished it. Oh yeah, that fucked me up
Yeah.
too, of
A lot of
course.
ups and mostly downs.
Mostly downs. I
But
know, a
I
shame,
think
but I still love Saw.
I think so there, like I said, there are two main directors for the Saw franchise,
Yeah.
Boseman and Gretert.
Frozen
And I
Richard.
think with these last two movies, we've seen how both of them have matured in their approach to filmmaking. And I look forward to seeing what Gretert does with Saw 11. And
Yes.
I hope they stop acting like Spiral was a failure, considering the circumstances upon its release of
I
the entire
know.
world.
Yes, they should
Because
not just count
Boseman,
the monies. They should just count how many people loved it. I mean, people just
yeah,
need to stop hating on it. It's
yeah,
very good. Just
yeah.
chill.
And Boseman did a great job, and maybe
Mhm.
Juan will come back one day. I mean, hell, it would be great to have a Winnell written Saw movie again, but
I know. How
if
cool would
they've
that
both moved
be?
on with their lives, that's fine too, but this is their baby.
Even if Winnell was like in one, I don't know. I don't know how far back they're gonna go with
Yeah.
11, but we'll see. But yeah, oh yeah, that fucked me up.
Yeah.
And we finished it, but just in time for Saw 11, which is gonna be probably right around the corner. I don't know what year though.
I think next year, but we'll see.
Next year.
We'll see.
Yeah,
We'll
we'll
talk
see.
about it when it comes out.
For sure. And what's funny is I was looking online to like buy the movies again because I have like, I think I have a 6 or a 7 movie like Blu-ray collection, but of course that's outdated. And there's a 10 movie Blu-ray collection. And I was like, Luke, I want to get this. And he's like, well, no, because aren't they making another one? He's like, just wait until they're done. I'm like,
no, that's what a lot of people have been complaining about is there hasn't been a whole lot of fanfare around the 20th anniversary, which is this year. We accidentally did our Saw retrospective during the 20th anniversary year.
Will they release Saw 1 in theaters?
They might re-release it. They usually, a lot of times they'll do that as special events. So we'll see. Especially if Saw 11's not coming out this year, that does leave room for them to maybe do a re-release.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll look into if anything at all is going to happen this year for Saw. But we did the retrospective.
Yeah.
Dub.
Yeah.
For Saw 11.
Yeah.
In a year or two.
And
yeah,
my internet stable's unstable.
Oh no. Well, in other news, Sam was going to go on her European honeymoon.
Yeah.
Which is fabulous. And then when we come back, we're going to have new TV show and new movies. Okay, guys, start our summer out. Like, I guess, like, when is like the first day of summer? Has it like begun yet? Like,
no, first day is the 21st.
That's unbelievable. So anyway, I could just say that it's not summer yet. So Sam and I just concluded our spring with Saw, and then we'll just like start off summer with like some new shit and some cool Mike Flanagan TV shows. Awesome. Well, in that case, I can go ahead and read our outro for good.
Yep, I'm good.
Go. All right, sweet. Well, thanks for tuning into our episode. We are the Real Horror Show podcast. Our host is Sam Odie, and I'm the co-host, Stormy Skies. The podcast was created by Sam Odie and Stormy Skies and is directed, edited, and produced by Sam Odie. You can find Sam on Instagram at Sam is Writing Stuff, and you can find Stormy on Instagram at The Stormy Skies. You can find the Real Horror Show podcast on Spotify, TuneIn, iTunes, Google Play Store, Pandora, and anywhere you like to stream your podcasts. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you're always in the know when a new episode comes out. Follow us on social media. You can find the Real Horror Show podcast on Instagram, Threads, TikTok, Facebook, and yes, Twitter/X too. We do more than just podcasts. We love to write and have plenty of great movie reviews and essays, all of which can be found on our website, realhorrorshow.com. We love hearing from our listeners. You can ask us a question or send us a movie request to review by DMing us on social media, or you can even send us an email at realhorrorshowpodcast@gmail.com. Call for guests. Do you love horror movies, or are you a podcaster, a content creator, a movie lover, or anyone in between who is a listener to our show? We would love to have you as a guest on one of our episodes. Reach out to us via social media DM or email us at realhorrorshowpodcast@gmail.com. Our podcast episodes featuring guests are all listed on our website, realhorrorshow.com. We are so thankful for all of our listeners. You are the life force of our podcast, and we wouldn't really exist without you. Thank you all for making this podcast real and supporting us as we record every week. You can support us in different ways, such as liking and sharing our podcast episodes on social media. Giving us a review will help the podcast more than you know, and will help other listeners find it too. You can also donate to Real Horror Show by visiting our support page on our website, where you can make a one-time donation via PayPal, buy us a coffee with the Buy Us a Coffee button, or explore our very interesting Amazon wish list. And any other pertinent news?
It's just raining.
It's just raining there. You know what? It looks a little cloudy here, but I think the rain's either it's going to or it has skipped us. So, anyways. Okay, cool. Well, our outro song is called Creepy Doll by Jonathan Colton, and he can be found at jonathancolton.com. Thank you, fuck off, and have a swell evening. This is Real Horror Show signing off.
Bye.
Bye-bye.